Hi, this is Crystal, and I'm here today with a Viking Repaint. I'm collaborating with the talented Unbridled Artistry. I met her on Instagram where I saw these amazing photos of her blue-haired Viking, and I just had to say hello because they really inspired me a lot. Spectra from Monster High has strong cheekbones, which will work nicely for our Viking warrior. She will have body paint, and I want her to look earthy and wild, but somewhat ethereal as well. I'm doing the usual prep work of head shaving, dunking, and removing, which sounds horrifying to everyone but doll customizers. But as I'm pulling old hair out of her head, let me tell you where I've been this year, since this is my first video of 2023. I've been away from home for a good portion of this year because I got badly flooded, as did many people in the area where I live. This was back in January, and the damage was very extensive, and here's where my art studio used to be. It takes a lot of time to get all of that situated, but I'm so glad to be back at home finally. On the bright side, I have a newly renovated space, and I can't wait to finish setting up my art studio. Since her knee has come apart at the seam, I am dunking her in very hot water in sort of an awkward pose. Then I use pliers over a towel to press the seams back together. You can use super glue to bind them together or do subsequent hot water dunks, but I opted to fill the gap with 2-part epoxy and smooth it with water, since it's being painted over anyway. And after buffing, she's ready for sealant. And thank you to Magicfly for sending me these brushes to review, which I'll be using wherever possible for this custom. They all came with caps, by the way, just the ones I've used don't have caps on anymore. And thanks also for the acrylic paint set of 30 colors as well, which I will also be using on this project. Obviously not all 30, but some of them. The white paint performs decently and needs a couple of coats to cover the clear limbs. It's quite thick, so I had to thin it down. I'm using soft pastels and diluted brown to change her skin tone and create the freckles. And then the fun part is giving myself permission to be messy, still in a controlled way, but having fun with the body paint. I'm making fine details along with using more broad brush strokes for her body paint. And I'm giving her the runic symbol of courage on her chest. I chose to add dark blue because I think it pops well against the white, but also because some Vikings would paint themselves with a mixture which was dark blue for ceremonies and for other reasons. A lot of her body paint will be covered up with the clothes, but I just really wanted to give her some crazy war paint, so I guess that means I'll just have to take some naked photos of her. Once she looks battle ready, I use a glossy varnish for its durability to protect the paint job, and then I spray with sealant, which will turn the body into a matte finish again. And onto what is probably my favorite feature of this custom, her shield. I cut 2 circles out of craft foam and 1 circle of thin cardboard. You just need something that holds shape to give the foam structure. With Fabri-Tac, I adhere the foam to the cardboard. Next, I'm using a sharp object to etch straight lines into the foam. These will create the wood planks. With lighter pressure, I make smaller, uneven lines within each plank for the wood grain. Using air dry clay, I sculpt in the shield boss, which is the iron center part. I added rivets using tiny pearls. And I feel like she would have a big gash in her shield because she's seen a lot of combat. I put out all the Magicfly brown paints plus a highlight color and use a blend of them to bring the wood texture to life. Mixing black and the light gray that comes with the paint set, I create a base for the metallic silver paint to go over top, and I'm using Vallejo paint for the silver. I'm sketching out the Viking compass symbol on her shield, first with a pencil, and then I'll be going over with a thicker brush. I'm going for imperfectly perfect, like she painted it on herself in a hurry because she has better things to do than worry about painting perfectly straight lines on her shield. The border around her shield gets painted to better match the wood color. This is a matte varnish, but it tends to come out slightly shiny over craft foam and acrylic paint. The spear is made with a barbecue skewer and 2-part epoxy, dremeled and then chromed with a marker. Chrome marker is very finicky and the dry time takes forever, literally weeks sometimes. I didn't want full chrome, so I created some tarnish by dulling the finish. She has a vest for her outfit which will lace up in the back. I'm using acetone to take away the glossy finish. Not every type of pleather material can take acetone, so always test first. I'm using it here to dull the shine and lift some of the color, making the leather appear aged and worn. This is a lightweight air dry clay that dries with a bit of give to it and doesn't seem to shrink too much. It was my first time trying this, so kind of an experiment that went well. Next time I make similar boots, I will show how I made them in more detail. I varnish the soles so the paint won't wear off and attach fur fabric to them. The opening is left in the back and the ties will wrap around the boot. I made some leggings and I couldn't resist showing off some of the body paint, so one legging ends just above the knee. Let's just say it got torn and she hasn't bothered to get a new one. Since I'm giving her a fur skirt, I had to first make some Viking underwear, which is pretty funny, something I never thought I'd say before getting into doll customizing. Since her skirt has that ugly lining and it would be visible, I'm gluing just enough fur to cover it up without adding any excess bulk. Now I'm putting the clothes on the body, but it felt like showing too much, like it spoiled her final reveal moment, so I censored putting her clothes back on. I always say the face up is my favorite part, but the shield was so fun to make that's probably not true for this custom. And my dog kept insisting on being in my lap, so I had to give in because clearly she wanted to supervise and make sure I was doing a good job. I'm giving her blue eyes and she's gonna have white blonde hair. And I definitely felt the rust of not doing any face repaints in many months. I noticed that I wasn't doing things as quickly, but on the flip side, I felt that it made me more careful and more detail oriented. The white blending tool I'm using here is called a stomp, and it blends out the white chalk pencil that I am partial to very nicely. I'm adding blushing to her forehead, cheeks, nose, and chin using soft pastel. And I add shadows around her nose and Cupid's bow area to define it more. And I also give her highlights with white chalk pencil, and then I blend it out with the stomp tool. And I'm giving her a scar over one eye because, of course, she would have a battle scar over one eye. Once I darken the pupils, I'm starting to see her face take shape and come more to life. I'm drawing her a war paint first with pencil, and then I will go over it with acrylic paint. I like doing the pencil first so that I can see how it will look and be sure that I'm happy with the design, since it's easier to make any changes than with the acrylic paint. And I'm also not thinning out the paint as much to keep some texture to it. And now it's time for the finishing face details like the eye highlights, brow hairs, and lashes. I'm using gouache paint for this. And after sitting with her for a little bit, I decided that her mouth seemed too open in a way for teeth to not be showing, so I added just a little subtle tooth line this time. I like giving dolls teeth because it can be tricky to nail it, but if you do it right, it looks really good. So I want to practice making teeth more to step up my tooth game. Now that her face is done, I went and braided a lot of teeny tiny braids that led me to seriously consider selling braided yarn wefts. I've had some interest on Instagram. If you would buy braided yarn wefts, leave a comment and let me know, and depending on the response, I may offer some for sale. I actually really enjoy the process. I can just sit there and let my mind go blank, and it's kind of a relaxing experience, almost like a meditation. It's like I don't have to think, I'm just doing it. I varied the size of these braids because there's no way our Viking lady has perfectly coiffured hair. The pins hold the braids in place while the glue dries, making them lay flat against the head, and she's getting 2 hoops in each ear. Before I trim her baby hair wispies and add her hair accessory, I want to shout out the store on Instagram that makes the most amazing candles called Mama Maddie's Mystics. I will link the store down below. I bought this last year, and she said her Cauldron candles are about to drop for spooky season. It's very fragrant, even unlit, and it's really cute, and I like to just have it on my desk. It makes my workspace smell like vanilla. I really love it. I'll have to actually light it up for Halloween this year. And thank you again to Magicfly for the acrylic paints. I think this is a solid set for entry-level crafting, but it could also be useful for people with more experience as well, as you get a lot of product for the money. They are going to last me a very long time. The brushes are pretty good too. I had one metal tip come off, which is fixable with glue. They're comfortable to hold as well, and the bristles stay together nicely, and I'm going to have to see how they hold up with continued use. And now she is complete with her Viking headband and floral studs on the sides. Let's see her in action. Here's the doll that Marjorie from Unbridled Artistry made. I feel like we made light and dark versions. I love how different yet similar they turned out. Hers looks fierce and mine looks kind of unbothered by the whole pillaging combat life. The repaint video that she made is going to be linked below, so make sure you check that out and subscribe for more videos. I'll see you next time.